Hi, welcome. This is Yoga for Your Back on Friday, April 9th. I'm Laura. I use she and her. We are going to be using today a foam roller or a rolling pin. If you don't have one, don't worry about it. A strap, a chair or a stool, and a combination of 4 blankets, towels, pillows, blocks. So 4 things, some combination of those. And if you don't have everything, don't worry about it. You'll be fine. So we're going to start out doing some self-myofascial release, which is a fancy way of saying massaging ourselves. And we are going to use either the rolling pin or the foam roller, and I'll also show a variation with hands in case people don't have one or the other. If you're using a rolling pin, you'll sit in your chair or your stool, or you can sit on the floor, and you're going to take the rolling pin and get it right up where, like if you were wearing jeans, where the pocket of your jeans would be. So it's not directly on top of your leg, not directly to the side, but kind of in between. You get your rolling pin at the top there, kind of lean your weight in and roll towards your knee, and you want to stop before you get to the bones of your kneecap, and then roll back up. And you'll just keep going with whatever level of pressure feels good for you. And I like to roll, I start sort of on the side there, and then I roll towards the front and back towards the side. So that's with the rolling pin, you'll do both legs. If you have a foam roller, you use that on the floor. You get that same spot, that like jeans pocket spot. So not the front, not the side, but in between, right at the top underneath your pelvis. You get that on the roller, and you can come onto your forearms, you can stay on your hands, whatever works for you, and you roll. And you can use your other foot here as like a kickstand, and you roll back and forth. And you'll have to experiment with, like, you know, it depends the length of your arms, the length of your legs, all of that stuff with how high or how low you want to be. You can stack your legs, and you'll roll towards the front and then do the other side. If you don't have a rolling pin or a foam roller, you can use your hands, which is a little more work, but I think actually can be just as effective, if not more effective. So if you're using your hands, I like to take the heel of my hand, get it in that spot up at the top of my leg, that jeans pocket spot, and I like to really kind of lean my weight in there, and then kind of like wiggle my hand side to side to help it slide down my leg. So we're really doing basically the same action as the foam roller or the rolling pin, just using the hand, the heel of the hand. It's kind of like ironing your own muscles. And you can kind of work your way towards the top of your leg. If you find a place that is especially tender, you might want to back off a little bit and breathe, take your time, slow down there, really kind of work through it. If you find bumpy places that feel muscular, those are good places to give a little extra love. The other thing you can do with your hands, you can use a fist, and that can be nice, kind of like iron down your leg. You can also use your fingers, your hands, and you kind of grasp the soft tissue, pull it up away from the bone, give it a little jiggle, and kind of work your way. So like kind of crawl your fingers down your leg and keep doing that. So you're pulling the soft tissue away from the bone at different angles, just kind of unsticking some of that connective tissue there. You can kind of crawl your fingers down, slide your thumbs, you're sort of rolling your skin. I find this is easier to do when my leg is like a little bit more straight and not completely bent. And if you haven't switched sides yet, we'll go ahead and switch sides. So the reason we're doing this is that these muscles, these are your hip flexor muscles. There's a sort of family of hip flexor muscles. It's not just one muscle connected to your quads, your lateral quads, so the outer quads. And those muscles bring your knees close to your chest. So when we sit a lot, they tend to get short and tight and stuck. And then when we stand up, we can't really like fully extend our legs. And that affects our posture, which then affects our ability to really engage our deep core stabilizing muscles, which can compromise then the stability of our backs and our strength and all kinds of other things. So these muscles tend to get tight on most people from sitting, but also because they're kind of overachiever muscles. So if we don't actively give them a chance to relax, they're gonna take over for other things that should be working, take over for our core and stuff. So once you've done both sides, you can put away your rolling pin and your foam roller, or your foam roller. Put away your chair. You might want to have your chair kind of at the end of your mat, one end of your mat. And then find your blankets, blocks, towels, pillows. And we're going to set up in a psoas release, because the psoas is another hip flexor muscle that connects to the front of the spine, pretty high up. So kind of right at the bottom of your ribs in the back, connects to the front of the spine. There's two sides of it. It goes down in front of your spine and attaches to your inner thighs. And it also does this action. And when your psoas gets tight, it pulls you into this position. Ribs forward, hips back. So the psoas release we're going to do is going to help get space in the back and let the psoas relax kind of in almost like a cat spine position. So you can use your blankets or towels, pillows, and you're going to make a short, pretty thick bolster for yourself. So depending on the shape of your blankets or towels, you might fold them in thirds, you might have a pillow that you fold in half. But you're trying to make this short, flat, thick bolster here. And then you make a pillow at the back of it for yourself. So I'm going to use my block at the top here. I have one block. You could use a folded blanket or an actual pillow. And I'm going to fold another blanket and put it on top for my head. So I have sort of like this lollipop shape, this short stem with a pillow at the top. And we're going to lie down so that the bottom tips of our shoulder blades, so if you're wearing a bra, it would be probably right about at your bra line, maybe a little bit above. Bottom tips of your shoulder blades are going to be on the edge of the bolster. So your lower back is not on the bolster. Your hips are not on the bolster. It's really just your upper back here. And then you can adjust whatever you have under your head so that it's in the right spot. Mine was too far back. And you let your legs be long. And your arms can go out to the sides with your palms facing up. And so, remember I talked about how when the psoas is short, it sort of pops the ribs forward. So you're going to notice right now, and you can see on me, my ribs are really sort of stretched open, kind of splayed open towards the ceiling. So that's actually shortening my psoas because it's arching, it's shortening my back a little bit. So I want to get it so that there's a downward slope and almost a hammocking action from my sternum down to my pelvis. And so to do that, to start, I'm gonna make the pillow under my head a little bit thicker and taller. So I'm gonna lift my head up a bit using the blanket and the block behind me like a pillow. And so when I lift my head up more, that allows the ribs to soften down a little bit.
The other thing you can do is kind of scooch a little bit forward off of your blankets. So scooch towards your feet so less of your upper body is on the blankets. That will also allow the ribs to fall downwards more. And the last thing you could do is bend your knees, the feet on the floor, lift and tuck your pelvis and put it back down. And then you could keep your legs there with your knees bent, your feet flat on the floor. And if you're doing that, I would step your feet a little wider than your hips and have your knees come towards each other. So setting up however you need to set up here so that you feel that sloping downwards of the ribs and that hammocking action through the torso. And once you are set up here, if it's comfortable for you to close your eyes, you can close your eyes. Sorry about the background noise. The dryer is apparently going crazy in the background. But you can begin here by noticing the places where your body's making contact with the earth. And allowing those places to become a little bit softer, a little bit less solid. So you're really receiving the support of the floor. You don't have to hold yourself up because you're being held here. The earth is coming up to meet the weight of your body. And this support is always here for you, no matter what. You don't have to do anything special or be anything in particular in order to deserve this support. It is here, it is always here for you. So as you allow your nervous system to register the sensation of grounding here, can you notice what's happening with your breath? And can you allow your breath to move in and out, softening to receive your inhale and letting go to release your exhales. So you can experiment for a few breath cycles here with the idea of being breathed as opposed to doing breathing. You can notice how your breath moves your body from the inside out. Creating three-dimensional expansion through the entire torso, along the entire length of the spine, from your head to your tail. And a release on the exhale. Then you can start to lengthen your exhale a bit. Maybe finding a whispered ah exhalation. As if you're trying to fog a window with your breath. And halfway through your next exhale, close your mouth but keep the sound. And then continue to breathe through your nose. Keeping that little hissing sound in the back of the throat. So this is Ujjayi Pranayama, or ocean breath. And if this breath starts to stress out your mind or your body in any way, just return to a simple breath in and out, anything that feels grounding for you. And you might notice how when you fully exhale all of your air, you get a bigger inhale in response. And also when you fully complete the exhale, you get some engagement in your low belly, between your belly button and your pubic bone. That area draws towards your spine and towards your head. So we're starting to activate those deep core muscles just with the breath. Inhaling to expand the sides and back of the body. Exhaling. Excuse me. Low belly draws in and up. And as you continue to breathe like this, you're going to reach your arms out to the sides. And then turn your palms to face the wall behind you so that your thumbs are pointing down towards the floor, and they may or may not touch. And then as you continue to breathe here, you're going to make some snow angels with your arms. So as you inhale, you reach the arms back behind you, keeping the thumbs pointing towards the floor. And as you exhale, you open the arms out and down, bending the elbows as needed to avoid any furniture, props, or walls. Inhaling them out and up, or out and back. Exhaling out and down. Trying to keep the thumbs pointing towards the floor as much as possible as you do this. And can you imagine your shoulder blades gliding along the rib cage in the back of the body, so that as you open the arms out and back, the shoulder blades sort of wing out, the bottom tips of the shoulder blades swing out to the sides. And as you exhale, they come back onto the rib cage. Your head, your jaw, your neck can stay heavy and easy. And the last time, reaching the arms out and back behind you. Stay here for a breath or two, really reaching through the pinky fingers now. The thumbs stay pointing towards the floor, keeping the shoulders heavy on the blankets. And on your next exhale, you can relax the arms all the way down. Bend the knees and put the feet on the floor now. And just kind of gently scooch down off of this bolster setup here. You can use your hands behind you to move whatever props you had out of the way. And you might want to keep a thinly folded blanket for under your head here. And you can bring your hands down now onto the front of your body somewhere. Knees are bent, feet flat on the floor. You can put an imaginary marble between your belly button and your pubic bone now. Inhale here. As you exhale, you're gonna roll that imaginary marble into your belly button. So you're tucking your pelvis, your low back is pressing into the mat. And as you inhale, you roll that imaginary marble down between your legs. So exhaling, scooping out the belly, the low back presses into the mat, inhaling other way. Going back and forth here, following the rhythm of your own breath, keeping the feet easy, legs and hips easy. So it's really deep in the core, those muscles close to the spine that are guiding this movement. It's like a little cat and cow in your lower body, in your pelvis. And then you'll find a neutral spine. So that's a place where you feel like the marble is evenly balanced between your belly button and your pubic bone. Back of your head, the back of your ribs, and the bottom of your sacrum are going to be connected to the floor, but you have a lift behind your neck, and there's a little curve in your lower back, your lumbar spine, away from the floor. It doesn't necessarily mean that your back is lifted off the floor. For a lot of us, the soft tissue of the back will still be touching the floor, but the spine has its natural curves. And take an inhale here, and as you exhale, extend your right leg long on the floor and flex your heel. Take another inhale. And as you exhale, try to lift your leg off the floor, but don't actually lift it. Feel how your low belly and your abdominals engage here. Inhale, release. Exhale, do that again. Try to lift the leg, but don't. Imagine the low belly between the belly button and pubic bone drawing towards the spine and towards the head. So it's not bulging towards the ceiling. And inhale, release. And this time, maybe if that was feeling clear in your body, you actually lift the leg an inch or two. And inhale it down. Maybe you lift it as high as the opposite knee. And down. I wouldn't lift it past the opposite knee. It just gets, for most of us, gets way too much into the quad. So keep going on your own time and connecting to your breath, this long, slow inhale and exhale. Really thinking about drawing the belly towards the spine and towards the head, keeping the front of the ribs soft. And the idea is that we're stabilizing here. So the pelvis is steady, the spine is steady, and it's just the leg moving in the hip socket. And it should feel like work for the abdominals. Couple more times on this side. And then you'll leave your leg on the floor. Take a big exhale. Press your right leg down into the mat and bring your left knee towards your chest. Hold on to the knee with the hands now for a moment so you can relax that left leg. Inhale, and as you exhale now, squeeze your right glute strongly. So that's like your right butt cheek, basically, is going to squeeze really strongly here. It's going to kind of like press into the mat, and that should open the front of your hip a bit. Really reach that right heel away. Give me 3 long breaths here. Big inhale. Long exhale. Again, inhale. And exhale. Last time, inhale. Exhale. Clasp the hands now behind the left thigh. Press the left thigh strongly into the hands. You can also use a strap so that your arms lengthen all the way and reach the heel up to the ceiling. So it's not about pulling your leg close to your body. It's about really pressing that thigh away and reaching the heel up. And then as you inhale, bend the knee towards your armpit. Keep the sole of the foot facing the ceiling as much as possible. And exhale, press the thigh away again, lengthen the arms, heel reaches up. Do that 3 more times. Inhaling to bend. Exhale to extend. And again, inhaling to bend. Exhaling to extend. 1 more time. And then slowly point and flex through your ankle a few times on that top foot. You might even want to take some circles with the ankle here, really keeping both thighs reaching away from you. And then you're going to bring both knees in towards your chest. Open your arms out to the sides. Inhale. As you exhale, let your knees fall all the way over to the right. Taking a twist. You're going to gaze towards your left hand again, and if you feel any pinching or discomfort in the lower back here or the hips, or if that left shoulder is really lifted far off the floor, put a blanket or a block under or between your knees, and that should help kind of relieve some of that extra stress in the twist there. You're going to gaze towards your left hand and do the same thing we did before, where you turn your hand so that your thumb is pointed down at the floor. And we're going to do those same snow angels here, really reaching the fingertips far away from the knees as you trace that arc up and down on the floor. And again, allowing this to move the shoulder blade on the rib cage. So that shoulder blade is connected to the fingertips, and as the fingertips move through space, the shoulder blade glides up and down. And then just take a moment, relax into this twist and breathe here. Allow the back of the left hand to rest on the floor diagonally, extending that left arm away from the hips, away from the knees. Take a couple breaths here. And on your next exhale, use the strength of your low belly to bring the back of your hips back to the floor. Put your right foot on the floor now, right knee is bent, and then extend your left leg long. We're going to do that whole sequence on the other side. So right knee is bent, foot on the floor, left leg is long here. And we start with those imaginary lifts of the leg. So you inhale to fill the back. Exhale. Try to lift the leg, but don't. Feel the abdominals engage. Inhale, release. Do that again. Check in with your belly. Is it drawing in and up rather than bulging towards the ceiling? And then if that's feeling clear in your body, you could start to lift the leg an inch or two. Or you could lift it as high as the opposite knee, but I wouldn't go higher than that today. Not for this exercise. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just a different exercise. So moving with your own breath, really finding that sensation of the exhale, engaging the deep core stabilizing muscles, drawing that low belly towards the spine, towards the head. to stabilize the pelvis and the spine and free up the leg to move in the hip socket. That right foot stays light on the floor. And it's really not about how high you lift the leg. It's about working with integrity in your body. So keeping the leg on the floor is what allows you to really get that integrity of connection between your breath and your core. Do that. Just a couple more here. And on your next exhale, keep that leg on the floor. Press the leg into the mat and bring the right knee in towards the chest. You can hold on to the knee with the hands or a strap, holding the front or the back of the knee, it doesn't matter. Relax that right leg. Take an inhale. As you exhale, strongly squeeze your left glute now. So all those muscles on the back of your pelvis on the left side are going to squeeze strongly, reaching the heel away. And that should open the front of your hip on the side. So those same hip flexor muscles, we're just trying to release them here. Take 3 long breaths. And then clasp the hands or use a strap to hold behind the right thigh. And on your next exhale, press your thighs strongly into your hands or the strap so your arms lengthen, reach the right heel up towards the ceiling now. And then as you inhale, bend the knee towards the armpit, keeping the sole of the foot facing the ceiling. And as you exhale, press the thigh into the hands, lengthening the arms. Do that 3 more times. The next time the leg is long and the heel is reaching up, you could point or flex through the ankle on your right foot. Maybe take some circles of the ankle. Feeling how that moves the stretch through the front and the back of the foot and the ankle. And then bring both knees in towards the chest. Open the arms out to the sides. Inhale here. Long, slow exhale. Send the knees all the way over to the left. Again, you could prop the knees or put a blanket under between the knees if the shoulder's lifting up or if you're feeling pinching or tweaking in the hips or the lower back. You could gaze towards the right hand, turn the hand so the thumb points towards the floor, and then start to take those snow angels again, really reaching the fingers away from the knees. And really feeling the shoulder blade glide on the ribs. Almost like you have wings. And then you can let the arm rest on that diagonal, lengthening the fingers away from the knees. Take a few breaths here. On your next exhale, use that strength of your low belly to bring the back of your pelvis back to the mat. Just take one big inhale and stretch everything away from your navel. Long, slow exhale to curl everything in. And then you can roll to the side. Use your hands to help you up. We're going to come to hands and knees here. Now's a good time to grab a sip of water if you need one. If you need padding under your knees, you can go ahead and unfold a blanket, some padding under your knees. If the wrists are tender, you can take a blanket, open it pretty long, and make a skinny roll with it. It's like a homemade wedge if you've ever used a wedge in a yoga studio. And then you'll put the heels of your hands on the blanket with your fingers draping off the front. And it just helps reduce the angle at your wrists. So it's not 90 degrees. It's a little bit less pressure on the wrists. And we're going to start to find a cow and a cat pose here. But before we do that, we're going to play a little bit with the shoulders. So you're going to try to find a neutral spine. You have the benefit of your computer screen if your video is on to see if you're in a cat or if you're in a cow or if you have a neutral spine. So neutral spine is this length, right, from the top of your head out through your sitting bones. And then keeping your spine stable, so we're not bending the spine at all. You're going to allow your shoulder blades to come towards each other on your back. So it's almost like your chest, your sternum is on a little elevator and it goes down one floor. And then you push into your hands to widen your shoulder blades apart. So my arms are staying straight, my shoulder blades are coming together like I'm trying to kiss my shoulder blades behind me together. And then I press my hands into the mat and my shoulder blades widen. And I'm not bending my spine here. So it's just the shoulder blades. Trying to keep my spine really stable. They come together and apart. And the movement might be pretty small, especially if you're someone who you have tight shoulders. A lot of times we get sort of sticky in the shoulders. There might not be much movement, or you might find there's more movement on one side than the other, which is fine, right? And just notice if your shoulders are creeping towards your ears as you do this, and see if you can keep the collarbones wide. And then the next time that the shoulder blades are wide here on the back, you're going to stay there. Don't let the shoulder blades come together as you come into your cow pose. So you're pulling the chest forward, reaching the hips back. It's going to feel like you're doing less if you're used to collapsing the shoulder blades, but it will be supported here, and you should have lots of space at the front of the throat. And then as you exhale, curl your imaginary tail towards your nose, drop your head. Keep the collarbones wide here as well. So notice if you're pulling your chin towards your chest, and relax the head. And then inhale to your cow, staying tall through the shoulders, staying wide. Exhale to your cat. And you can continue like this on your own breath. If you're not sure you can feel the difference, you can take a cow pose with your shoulder blades towards each other, so you're kind of collapsed in your spine. You can hear how my voice changes when I do this because I don't have any space anymore to breathe around the back of my neck. I'm collapsed. And then if I push into my arms, I can widen my shoulder blades and I get all that space. My voice goes back to normal. And then we're all going to take a really active child's pose here. So you're going to bring your big toes together, knees wide, sit back towards your heels. You can reach your arms forward. If you had a blanket under your wrist, that's fine. You can leave it there. There'll be some extra support for your forearms. Spread your fingers wide and have your hands wider than your shoulders. Inhale and fill your back with breath. Exhale, press your hands strongly into the mat, almost like you're trying to drag your hands back towards your knees. And that's gonna really fire up the shoulder muscles. Think about lots of space between the ears and the shoulders, really pressing the hands down. And keep all of that as you reach your hips a little bit more towards your toes. Take 3 breaths here. Inhale. And exhale. 2 more. And then walk yourself back up. And we're gonna come to a high kneeling position, and you'll have the chair on one side of you. So you're gonna kneel next to your chair and grab your strap. And you actually might need a little more space from your chair to start out with. If you don't have a strap, don't worry, you can use an imaginary strap. So you want the strap to be fairly long here. And you're going to wrap the strap around your hands. I like to wrap the strap around my hands once just because my fingers don't have to work so hard. And the strap is pretty long, so very wide. I'm in this high kneeling position unless that doesn't work for you, and then you could sit on the floor or the chair, or you could stand up, doesn't really matter. But if you are in this high kneeling position, take a moment, relax your arms, press your shins down into the mat. Feel how that fires up the muscles in the backs of your legs and opens the front of your hips a little bit. You can even think about your pubic bone gently drawing towards the roof of your mouth. And then pull gently wide on the strap. Think about the collarbones being really wide. And then as you keep a little tension on the strap, you're going to start to circle the arms up and back, and then up and forward. And you might find right away that you really need a wider strap, and that's fine. It shouldn't be painful. So if your strap isn't long enough, do this without a strap. Do it with an imaginary strap or use a blanket. If you find you're having to bend your elbows, that means you need a wider strap. And then we're trying to get movement in the shoulders, not in the ribs or the spine. So if, when you bring your arms back, you find that you're sticking your ribs out and your hips back, make the strap wider. Yeah, scarf is a great tool, so that you can keep the spine stable and really free up the shoulder blades. We're just going to do 1 or 2 more like this, thinking as much about your verticality as you are about the movement of the shoulders. And then set the strap to the side and just notice how your shoulders and your neck feel now. And now you're going to kneel next to your chair. You could use a coffee table, a stool, a bed, couch, doesn't really matter, just something that you're able to put a hand on. So you have your chair hand and your free hand here. You're grounding into your shins, which is going to, again, engage your glutes a bit. Open the front of your hips, engage your abdominals a bit too. So your pubic bone is drawing gently towards the roof of your mouth. Inhale, reach your free arm up and out. Exhale, grounding into the legs as you reach past the back of the chair. And then inhaling, open. And we're just going to do that simple movement over and over. And the challenge here is to
really let your breath lead you. So it's a vinyasa. If your breath were music and you were a dancer, we would talk about using all the music, the entire length of the inhale, the entire length of the exhale. Again, thinking about length from your knees all the way up through the top of your head, perhaps even more than you're thinking about going to the side. And the next time you go to the side, you're going to stay there. Take an inhale and an exhale. Try to come out of this pose, but don't. Feel how that really engages the core here. And then you're going to take a big circle with your arm back and down and forward and up. You could even follow it with your eyes. And then reverse that circle and let the ribs move. Staying grounded through the legs. And then stay looking down at the chair. Take your top hand, turn your palm to face forward. And slowly, and actually turn your palm to face the floor and slowly push the hand down away from you as you keep looking at that chair. You should get a big stretch through the side of your neck. Almost like you're pushing that hand through, pudding. Let the arm be really heavy and then slowly come all the way up. I'm going to move my chair. You can just move your body, but I'm going to be able to still see you. We'll do the other side. So you have your chair hand and your free hand. I'm thirsty today. You're going to ground into your legs. Draw your pubic bone up towards the roof of your mouth. Inhale your free arm up. Exhale, stay long as you reach to the side. And inhale up. Following the music, your own breath, using all of that music. Thinking about the length, the verticality in your body, as much as the side bend. And the next time you bend to the side, you'll stay there. Pause, inhale and exhale. Try to come out of the pose, but don't. Relax your bottom shoulder. And then take that big circle one direction with the top arm. Maybe even following it with the eyes. And reverse. And then you're going to look down at the chair. Take your top hand, turn your palm to face the floor now, and as if you're pushing through something thick, slowly lower your arms, staying looking towards the chair. And then come all the way up. Great. You're going to face your chair now. I'm just going to move mine off to the side a little bit. You probably don't need padding under your knee anymore quite in the same way. And you're going to bring your left foot up along the side of the chair and your forearms onto the chair. Take your back toes, tuck your back toes under, scoot your back knee back a little bit. So if we all had 2 blocks, we would put our hands on blocks, but we don't, so we're using a chair. If you have blocks, you can use blocks. Make sure your front foot is really grounded.
Take an inhale, and as you exhale, squeeze your back glute. So all those muscles on the back of your right hip, you're gonna squeeze them strongly, and then use that to lift your back knee. Stay here in this lizard lunge, actively squeezing that back glute to open the front of the hip, rounding into the front foot as well. Some of you might want to rock back and forth. Find your breath. And then stay here with your legs and walk your hands up the chair. Plant your right hand on the chair in front of you. Inhale your left arm forward and exhale, lift your hips up a little bit away from the floor and twist towards your front leg, towards the left. Keep hugging your legs towards each other, lengthening from your back foot out through your head. Big breath in. Long breath out. Big breath in. Long breath out. Hand comes back to the chair. Inhale and lower the back knee and switch sides. Bring the front leg back. Back leg forward. Forearms to the chair. So the right foot is up beside the chair. Now you can tuck your back toes, scoot your back knee back a bit. Square off your pelvis. Inhale. Exhale. Engage the back glute in order to lift the back knee. And then keep that glute squeezing, engaging to really open the front of the hip. Stay here in this lizard pose. And then ground into your legs. Walk your hands up the chair. Plant your left hand on the chair now. Inhale your right arm forward. Exhale, hug your legs together. Feel a lift in your low belly, a lift in your pelvis, and twist towards your front leg to the right. Inhale. Long exhale. Another inhale. And an exhale. Inhale and lower the arms back to the chair. Lower the back knee now. And then you're going to come to a forward fold using the chair. So you can bring your arms and your head down to the chair. If you'd rather not use the chair for this, that's fine. You can let the head and the arms dangle. Sometimes I think it's really nice to have that feedback on the head here in this upside down position. Have your knees soft, as wide as your ankles. Widen your sitting bones. If the head doesn't comfortably reach the chair, you can always stack blankets or blocks on the chair. And then send the hips back away from the chair as if there was another chair behind you wanted to sit in, and we're going to come into Katasana chair pose. You can have your fingertips on the chair in front of you. You could reach the arms forward, straight forward from the shoulders, parallel to the floor. You could have the hands on the hips, whatever works for you. Check in with your legs. Notice if your knees are way forward of your ankles. And if they are, try to make your shins a little bit more vertical. And you'll feel how the work moves into the hips more and out of the quads. Take a big breath in here. Exhale. Try to straighten the legs, but don't straighten them. Feel how those muscles in the hips engage even more. 3 long breaths. And then we're going to take 1 breath in to lengthen the legs and reach the arms up. And exhale, bend your knees, fold right back forward to Uttanasana. Bring the knees down to the floor now. You can move your chair a little bit out of the way or just move backwards away from your chair and come to a child's pose. And in this child's pose, if it's comfortable for you to have your knees close together, go ahead and do that. And that just allows us to really feel the breath more in the back body. If the knees need to stay wide, that's fine too. Just focus your attention on that sensation of the breath, massaging the back muscles from the inside. You could let your breath easily move in and out here. And then come to lying on your belly, and I'm going to do a last sequence on our belly to strengthen the shoulders. We've done a lot to mobilize the shoulders, but it's important to strengthen them as well. So we're going to do this last sequence on the belly, doing some Locust and Cobra variations before we move on to our backs and start to wind down again. So you can rest your forehead on your hands. Have your legs long, as close together as is comfortable and parallel. Just take a few breaths here, feeling how your breath can move in your back body. And then on your next exhale, find that engagement of your belly again. Low belly draws towards the spine and towards the head. Reach the legs down and back and engage the glutes. And then using that stability in the lower body, just float the upper body. So you're going to keep the arms on the floor, but you're floating the head and the upper spine. You're looking at your hands or even at the mat, not lifting the head to look in front of you. So you're looking down at the floor and then lower the head back down. We'll do that again. Exhaling, belly and legs engaged. The upper body floats. And inhaling down. And you'll do that on your own timing. So there's no pushing in the arms. There's no craning the neck. The back of the neck stays long. You can even think about your chin drawing gently towards your throat. And the more we engage the foundation and the legs, the more strength we engage there, the more ease we can get in the upper body. Just notice again if the shoulder blades are drawing towards the ears, and see if you can let them relax on the back. And then if that's feeling clear and good in your body, you can add on to this by keeping the hands glued to the forehead as you lift the head and chest. So the arms will start to lift as well. And this is a place where there's a real tendency to shrug the shoulders towards the ears. So instead, you could think about almost drawing the shoulder blades a little bit towards each other and down the back a bit. You're probably not going to come up as high as you did when it was just your head and shoulders. One or two more times like this. And then keep the head and the shoulders, the arms down, bend the knees so the feet are pointing towards the ceiling. Just windshield wiper the legs a few times to release the hips and the lower back. And then you can just roll over onto your back here. If you want a little pillow under your head, you can have a little pillow under your head. Bring the knees in towards the chest one at a time, holding the fronts or the backs of the knees. Just rock a few times side to side, getting a gentle massage across the sacrum and the hips. Open the knees apart, keeping the feet towards each other. Reach the arms inside the legs and hold on to either the inner thighs, just inside the knees, or the ankles or the feet. Before you open the feet apart, really draw the knees towards the armpits and really reach the pubic bone away from you. And then you can start to open the soles of the feet towards the ceiling. Find a push of the legs into the arms, a pull of the arms against the legs. You might want to rock side to side here in this happy baby pose. And then bring the legs back together, one at a time, put the feet on the floor. If you have a block, you'll use a block for this. If not, you'll use a thickly rolled blanket. If you have something under your head, remove it and take either your block or your block substitute, and you're gonna put it under your sacrum. So it's not under your lower back, it's under your sacrum. We're doing a supported bridge here. And then we're going to do one last shoulder stretch here. So we're not going to do anything with the hips. We're just going to do a bridge in the upper body. So you can bring your hands down beside you, palms on the floor. And you're going to press your upper arms into the mat, and that's going to lift your chest and kind of press the back of your head into the mat. And then kind of wiggle your upper arms underneath your body. So your chest is really stretching open. Keep the hips heavy on the block. So it's going to feel pretty different than a traditional bridge. And then just turn your palms to face up. And continue pressing the upper arms into the mat. Take a few breaths here. And then release the shoulders. Let the upper back rest on the floor again. And now one at a time, you can lift your legs up. And some of you are just going to want to stay here with the knees bent. Some of you might want to extend the legs. They don't have to straighten all the way. For me, there's a place I can find here where I feel like I don't have to work to keep my legs up. Sometimes I have to adjust a little bit where I am on the block. But there's sort of a sweet spot where the hips can relax and the legs feel like they're just balanced here above the pelvis. For me, I can have my legs almost straight, but not all the way. Some of you might not find that place unless the knees are fully bent. So just play around here and see if you can find that place of ease and balance. And then you can bend the knees. One at a time, put the feet on the floor. And if you like being here on the block, you can stay here. If you don't, you can take it out. Wherever, whether you have the block or not, you're gonna separate your feet a little wider than your hips and let your knees fall towards each other. They may or may not touch. And then you can let your arms open out to the sides with your palms facing up. So see if you can find a position with the legs where the inner thighs don't have to work. Let yourself settle, get heavy. Feel your weight dropping into the floor. Let your breath just easily move in and out. And then bring your legs back to parallel. If you are on the block, press into your feet, engage the backs of your legs to come off, so protecting your sacrum. Move the block out of the way. And if there's anything else you need to do before Shavasana, now is the time. Otherwise, you can set yourself up to rest here in whatever way makes sense for you today. You have something to cover your eyes and you want to cover your eyes, you can. You can use an extra blanket for that if you want. You can put it behind you and just pull the edge over your forehead and your eyes. That can be really nice. I highly recommend having something under the knees in Shavasana. Some of you might also want something under the head. Once you're really comfortable wherever you are, if you want to, you can close your eyes. If your eyes are open, just have the gaze soft. And no matter what sensations or thoughts or emotions might be coming up in your body right now, and remind yourself that everything you've done in your practice today was enough. You can give yourself permission to rest here in Shavasana.
Receive a deep inhale and release a long exhale. Invite some energy back into your fingers and your toes. Maybe let your head roll from side to side. As you're ready, you can start to roll to the side and gently and intentionally make your way up to sit. Finding a seat that is comfortable for you, so you're being kind to yourself at the end of your practice. You can have your eyes open or closed. Feel the earth underneath you, supporting you here, gravity that is always here for you. On your next inhale, you can breathe in anything you'd like to carry with you. And on your exhale, you can breathe out anything you'd like to set aside. Thank you so much for your practice. I'm going to stop the recording now.